There is something holding you back right now. You feel it, but you can't always explain it. It's a silent force, an invisible barrier that keeps you from stepping fully into your power, from taking action, from becoming the person you know you are meant to be. And that force is fear. Fear is the one thing that has controlled humanity since the beginning of time. It is the reason people settle for lives they do not love. It is the reason people hesitate when opportunities arise. It is the reason dreams die before they are ever born. And right now, it is the reason you are not living at your highest potential. But what if I told you there was a way to eliminate fear instantly? Not suppress it, not fight it, not push it away temporarily, but to dissolve it at its very core permanently. There is an ancient spiritual practice, known only to those who have walked the deepest paths of awakening, that has the power to do just that. And once you understand it, once you use it, fear will never control you again. But before I show you how, you must first understand what fear actually is. Most people think fear is an emotion. They believe it is something that happens to them, something external, something they have no control over. But that is the greatest lie ever told. Fear is not real. It is an illusion, a construct of the mind, a trick played by the ego to keep you trapped in the known, in the safe, in the predictable. Fear does not exist outside of you. It is created within you, and if something is created within you, it can also be destroyed within you. Let me ask you something. What is your greatest fear? Not the surface level fears, not the small anxieties, but the one fear that lies at the core of your being. The one that has shaped your life, dictated your choices, kept you small. Is it the fear of failure? The fear of rejection? The fear of being alone? The fear of death? Whatever it is, I want you to realize something right now. It is not real. It feels real, but it is not. It is a mental projection, a story you have told yourself so many times that you have mistaken it for the truth. And the moment you see it for what it truly is, its power over you begins to dissolve.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Now, let's go deeper, because knowing that fear is an illusion is not enough. You must experience it for yourself. You must see, with your own eyes, how easily fear can disappear when you stop feeding it. And that is where this ancient practice comes in. It is called the Fear Transmutation Technique, and it has been used for centuries by mystics, monks, and spiritual masters to dissolve fear instantly. It is not complicated. It does not require years of training. It works in seconds. And once you use it, you will never be the same again. Here is how it works. The next time you feel fear rising within you, whether it is fear of taking action, fear of speaking your truth, that fear of stepping into the unknown, I want you to do something radically different. Instead of resisting the fear, instead of trying to push it away, I want you to fully embrace it. Most people spend their entire lives running from fear, avoiding it, suppressing it. But what you resist persists. The more you fight fear, the stronger it becomes. The secret is to do the opposite, to go toward it, to face it fully, to welcome it in. Close your eyes. Feel the fear in your body. Do not label it. Do not judge it. Simply observe it. Where do you feel it? In your chest? Your stomach? Your throat? Pay attention to the sensation. Do not run from it. Now, take a deep breath in. As you inhale, imagine yourself pulling the fear closer instead of pushing it away. And as you exhale, relax into it. This is the key. Fear only has power over you when you tense up, when you resist, when you fight. But the moment you relax into it, the moment you surrender, something incredible happens. It begins to dissolve. Try it right now. Think of something that scares you. A situation, a conversation, a decision you have been avoiding. Feel the fear in your body. Now, inhale deeply, pulling the fear in closer. And as you exhale, let go of all resistance. Do this 3 times. Feel what happens. Something shifts, doesn't it? The fear that felt overwhelming just moments ago suddenly loses its grip. It no longer controls you. It no longer feels as powerful as it once did. Because here is the truth. Fear only exists when you resist it. The moment you surrender to it, it disappears. But we are not done yet, because this is just the beginning. Now that you understand how to dissolve fear in the moment, you need to know how to eliminate it completely from your life. Because fear is not just an emotion, it is a program. It has been conditioned into you since birth. You have been trained to be afraid, trained to doubt yourself, trained to stay small. And unless you reprogram your mind at the deepest level, the fear will keep returning. The next step in this practice is to rebuild your identity without fear. Let me ask you something. Who would you be if you had no fear? How would you think? How would you act? How would you move through life if fear was not a factor? Most people do not know the answer to this question because they have never lived a single day without fear. But now you have the opportunity to find out. Because once you have experienced life without fear, even for a moment, you can never go back. Starting today, I want you to begin operating as if fear does not exist. When you feel hesitation, move forward anyway. And when you hear the voice of doubt in your mind, ignore it completely. When you are faced with the choice between comfort and growth, always choose growth. You must train yourself to act in spite of fear. Because here is the secret: fear will never truly disappear until you prove to yourself that it has no power over you. Every time you act in spite of fear, every time you move forward when your mind tells you to stop, you are rewiring your brain. You are teaching yourself that fear is nothing but a ghost, a shadow with no substance. And the more you do this, the weaker fear becomes, until one day you wake up and realize it is gone. It no longer controls you. It no longer dictates your life. You are free. But there is still one more level to this practice, because dissolving fear is not enough. You must replace it with something stronger. You must cultivate an energy so powerful, so unshakable, that fear can never return. And that is exactly what we are going to do next. Because what comes next will show you how to step into a permanent state of fearlessness, a state where nothing can shake you, nothing can stop you, and nothing can hold you back ever again. Now that you understand how to dissolve fear in the moment, the next step is learning how to eradicate it from your life permanently. Because here's the truth: fear is not something you need to manage. It is something you need to destroy at its root. Most people spend their entire lives negotiating with fear, trying to minimize it, trying to work around it. But fear does not deserve a seat at the table. It does not deserve your attention, your energy, or your time. It is a parasite, a mental virus that has been running in the background of your mind for years, controlling your decisions, limiting your potential, keeping you trapped in a smaller version of yourself. And now, it is time to delete it from your system forever. Let's go deeper. Because if you want to remove fear completely, you must understand where it actually comes from. Most people think fear is natural. They believe it is an unavoidable part of life, something built into the human experience. But that is a lie. Fear is not natural. It is programmed. You were not born afraid. You were taught to be afraid. From the moment you arrived in this world, you were conditioned to fear failure, to fear rejection, to fear stepping outside of the lines. You were told to be careful, to play it safe, to avoid risks. You were trained to seek approval, to follow the rules, to never challenge the system. And over time, this conditioning became so deeply ingrained that you stopped questioning it. You accepted fear as normal, but it is not normal. It is a prison, and today we are breaking out. Let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you had never been taught fear? If no one had ever told you to doubt yourself? If you had never been criticized, never been shamed, never been warned to be realistic? If you had been raised to believe that anything was possible, that you were limitless, that there was nothing to fear? Think about this deeply. Because the version of you that never learned fear still exists. It is buried underneath layers of conditioning, but it is still there, waiting to be reawakened. And that is exactly what we are going to do now. The next phase of this practice is reclaiming your original state of fearlessness. But because here is the secret, you do not need to create fearlessness. You were born with it. It is your natural state. All we need to do is remove the layers of fear that were placed on top of it. And the fastest way to do this is through exposure and expansion. But exposure means you must confront your fears directly, not avoid them, not think about them, not analyze them, but face them fully and completely. Because fear is a bully. It thrives on avoidance. It feeds on hesitation. The more you run from it, the stronger it becomes. But the moment you turn around and face it head-on, something incredible happens. It disappears. Because fear is only powerful when you believe in it. And the moment you see it for what it truly is, a hollow illusion, it loses all control over you. Starting today, I want you to chase your fear. Whatever you are afraid of, that is where you must go. If you are afraid of speaking your truth, you must start speaking it louder than ever. If you are afraid of failure, you must start taking massive action without hesitation. If you are afraid of rejection, you must start putting yourself out there unapologetically. But you must prove to yourself that fear is nothing but an illusion. And the only way to do that is through direct experience. But exposure alone is not enough. You must also expand your energetic capacity. Because fear is not just a mental construct, it is an energetic limitation. It keeps you confined within a small container, a limited version of yourself. And if you do not expand beyond it, you will always feel trapped. Expansion means stretching yourself beyond what feels comfortable. It means stepping into bigger challenges, bigger risks, bigger opportunities. It means training your nervous system to handle more power, more success, more freedom. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have spent your entire life inside a small room. The walls around you represent your comfort zone, the limits of what you believe is possible. But if you try to step outside, fear rises. Not because there is actual danger, but because you have never experienced anything beyond those walls. But if you force yourself to step outside, something happens. At first it feels overwhelming, but after a while it becomes normal. And then you realize the walls were never real. They were only in your mind. This is how fear works. It is not reality, it is a mental boundary. And the only way to break that boundary is to keep pushing beyond it. Every time you do something that scares you, you expand. Every time you take action despite fear, your container grows. And the more you expand, the less fear can control you. Until one day you look back and realize it is gone. It no longer exists in your reality. But there is one final step, because even after you dissolve fear, even after you reprogram your mind, there is still one more thing that needs to happen. You must replace fear with something stronger. Because nature abhors a vacuum. If you remove fear but do not fill that space with something more powerful, fear will try to return. And the only energy strong enough to replace fear permanently is certainty. Certainty is the opposite of fear. Fear comes from doubt, hesitation, insecurity. Certainty comes from knowing who you are, knowing your power, knowing your purpose. When you operate from certainty, fear has no space to exist. It cannot survive in the presence of absolute confidence. And the way to cultivate certainty is through alignment with your higher self. Who is your higher self? It is the version of you that exists beyond fear, beyond limitation, beyond doubt. It is the version of you that is already free, already powerful, already limitless. And the key to living without fear is to merge with that version of yourself completely. That means thinking like your higher self, speaking like your higher self, making decisions like your higher self. It means embodying the energy of the most powerful, fearless version of you in every moment. Let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you operated from pure certainty? If you knew, without a doubt, that every decision you made was the right one. If you trusted yourself completely. If you never hesitated, never second-guessed, never allowed fear to influence you again. That reality is available to you right now. All you have to do is choose it. Starting today, I want you to begin living as if you are already that version of yourself. No more waiting, no more hesitation, no more getting ready. You are ready now. Step into your power. Speak with confidence. Move with certainty. Take action without fear. And watch what happens. But we are not done yet. Because now that you know how to eliminate fear, you need to know how to protect yourself from it permanently. Because fear will try to return. The world is designed to keep you afraid. Society is built on fear. The news, the media, the people around you, all of them are constantly feeding fear into your mind. And if you are not careful, you will absorb it unconsciously. What comes next will show you how to build an impenetrable shield around your mind, a level of spiritual protection so strong that fear can never touch you again. This is the final step to becoming completely fearless forever. Now that you understand how to eliminate fear, the final step is ensuring that it never returns. Because here's the truth, you are living in a world that thrives on fear. Fear is the currency of control. It is the mechanism that keeps people small, compliant, and disconnected from their true power. Every system in society, education, government, media is designed to keep you in a state of fear. Why? Because a fearful person is an easy person to manipulate. A fearful person does not take risks. A fearful person does not challenge the system. A fearful person does not step into their power. But you are no longer that person. You are awake now. And because you are awake, you must learn how to protect yourself from fear permanently. The first rule of permanent fearlessness is controlling your environment. Most people do not realize this, but fear is not just an internal experience, it is an energetic frequency. It is contagious. If you are constantly surrounded by people who live in fear, if you consume media that promotes fear, if you engage in conversations based on fear, you will absorb that energy without even realizing it. You must be extremely selective about what you allow into your mind. This means cutting off anything that reinforces fear-based thinking. But stop watching the news, it is designed to keep you scared. Stop engaging in negative conversations. Most people talk about problems, not solutions. Stop surrounding yourself with people who live in fear. They will try to pull you back into their reality. You must create an energetic shield around yourself, a space where fear cannot enter. Because if you allow fear into your mind, even in small doses, it will begin to grow again. Let me ask you something. Who in your life reinforces fear? Who constantly talks about worst-case scenarios? Who always focuses on limitations? Who makes you doubt yourself, even in subtle ways? These people may not be doing it intentionally, but they are keeping you trapped in a lower state of consciousness. And if you are serious about living without fear, you must distance yourself from their energy. This does not mean you have to cut people off completely. It simply means you must become immune to their influence. You must be so deeply grounded in your own certainty that no external fear can touch you. The second rule is training your nervous system to remain calm under pressure. Because here's what happens when you start living without fear. Life will test you. You will face challenges. You will encounter situations that try to trigger your old patterns. And if your nervous system is not trained to handle pressure, you will fall back into fear. This is why most people relapse. They do the inner work, they feel powerful, but then something happens, a financial setback, a rejection, a moment of uncertainty, and suddenly, fear creeps back in. The key to preventing this is conditioning your body to remain calm no matter what happens. This is where breathwork, meditation, and mindfulness become essential. When you control your breath, you control your nervous system. When you control your nervous system, you control your emotions. And when you control your emotions, fear has no way to enter your reality. Try this right now. Take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. Exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds. Repeat this 3 times. Feel what happens. Your body instantly relaxes. Your mind becomes clear. This is the state you must train yourself to operate from at all times. Because when you are calm, you are powerful. And when you are powerful, fear cannot touch you. The third rule is living with absolute trust in yourself and in the universe. Fear only exists when you believe that you are alone, that you must figure everything out by yourself, that you are at the mercy of external forces. But this is an illusion. You are never alone. You are connected to something greater. Call it God, the universe, the divine. It does not matter what name you give it. What matters is that you recognize you are supported at all times. Most people live in fear because they do not trust life. They believe they must control everything, predict every outcome, avoid every risk. But the truth is, life is always working in your favor. Even when things seem to go wrong, even when challenges arise, everything is happening for you, not to you. And when you fully embrace this truth, fear disappears. Because why would you fear anything if you knew, with absolute certainty, that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Let me ask you, what would your life look like if you fully trusted the universe? If you never worried about the future? If you knew that no matter what happened, you would always be okay? This level of trust is not just possible, it is necessary. Because when you trust fully, fear has no place to exist. The fourth rule is rewriting your identity as a fearless being. Because no matter how much inner work you do, if you still see yourself as someone who struggles with fear, you will continue to manifest situations that reinforce that identity. The way you see yourself creates your reality. If you identify as a person who is afraid, you will experience fear. But if you shift your identity to someone who is completely fearless, your reality must adjust to match that new self-image. Starting today, I want you to begin thinking, speaking, and acting as if you are already the most fearless version of yourself. When you wake up in the morning, affirm to yourself, "I am fearless. I trust myself completely. Nothing can shake me." When you face decisions, ask yourself, how would my fearless self handle this? When fear tries to creep in, remind yourself, fear is an illusion. I do not entertain illusions. This is not about pretending. This is about embodying a new reality. Because the moment you fully commit to this identity, fear will have no choice but to leave your life for good. The final rule is taking massive, fearless action every single day. Because here's one thing you must understand: fear is a habit. It is a pattern of hesitation, overthinking, avoidance. And the only way to break that pattern is through relentless action. Fear wants you to stay still. It wants you to wait. It wants you to analyze, to doubt, to hesitate. But the moment you take action, even in small ways, you break the cycle. You prove to yourself that fear has no power over you. And the more you do this, the less fear can control you. Starting today, I want you to commit to a new rule: I act before fear has a chance to stop me. The moment you feel hesitation, move forward. The moment doubt enters your mind, take action. But the moment you start overthinking, make a decision. Train yourself to be a person of instant action, and fear will never control you again. Now, let me ask you one final question. Are you willing to live the rest of your life without fear? Because if you are, this is the moment you decide. This is the moment you step into your highest self. This is the moment you declare, with full certainty, that fear is no longer part of your reality. You did not come here to live in fear. You did not come here to play small. You came here to be unstoppable, to be limitless, to be a force of nature that nothing can shake. And now you are. Fear is gone. It has no place in your life anymore. You are free. Now go and live like it.